So it's after dinner. I've already fed my family. And tomorrow I'm making beef stew with mashed potatoes. But before I go ahead and do that tomorrow, I'm gonna go and season the meat the night before. It needs to season well. When it comes to beef stew and cooking on the crock pot, I always like to season my meat hours before putting it in the crock pot. It just gives it flavor and it ensures that it's going to be a good dinner and not a bland one. So I'm gonna use the Angus beef for stew meat from Trader Joe's. It's absolutely delicious. Doesn't have a lot of fat. And I'm gonna go ahead and season this and I will put it up in the morning and it will cook all day while I'm at work. And when I get home, I will make the mashed potatoes and serve this goodness with the mashed potatoes, and I will show it all to you then. So hang out and watch me season the meat. Some black pepper. You can be very liberal with the salt because it's beef. And it can handle the salt. Gives it a lot of flavor. Some black pepper. And of course, my little sazon. It's so good. Sprinkle some on. And then I'm gonna cut some carrots, an onion, and some garlic. And I'm gonna put it in the crock pot. Now, I'm not gonna cut potatoes because potatoes, it's redundant. I'm gonna have mashed potatoes, so I'm not gonna cook the stew with potatoes. Normally, you would put potatoes in the stew, but I'm not going to do that because like I said, it's gonna go with mashed potatoes, so it just doesn't make any sense to eat potatoes with potatoes. So I'm gonna go ahead and peel this and put it in a crock pot and get it ready for tomorrow. So you want to cut the onions thick because when you're cooking in the crock pot, it's like usually like 8-10 hours. You don't want it to get so soft, they'll just totally disappear. This way, the onion is there, you'll be able to taste the onion. So we're gonna take the crock pot and we're gonna go ahead and put everything in there. So you want to cut the carrots in chunks, like so. This size is pretty good. You don't want to make it too small. Then they're just going to melt in the cooking process. It's just going to be mush. So you want a little texture. So you don't want to cut them too thin or too small. And you always want to put your tough vegetables on the bottom of the pot. This way they can cook. Because if you're going to put them on the top of the crock pot, they're not going to cook thoroughly, and they're probably going to be raw and hard. Garlic. Now, I'm going to do something that most people don't do, and that's okay because I'm not most people. That's what makes me me. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil, a touch of it, because it can be a little like dry and a bit tough, and I don't like to eat meat that way, so I just add a little bit of olive oil so that I can just make it nice and soft and moist. So that when it cooks, just a little bit, not a lot. No one panic. That's it. Clean hands. And we're gonna massage all of that goodness into the meat. See how I'm just mixing everything in there. Okay. So everything is in there. Let me go wash my hands. I'll be right back. All right, guys. So I'm gonna put a lid to this. It's gonna go in the fridge overnight. Cover this up. It's gonna go in the fridge, and I'm gonna make a little slurry, and I'm gonna put it in the morning. The slurry is cornstarch, a little bit of water. You're gonna mix that up, and when you have the beef inside the crock pot, you pour it in there, and it creates a thickness, a sauce, and that's what you want, because otherwise you're gonna have just a watery stew. No one wants to eat watery stew. I know I don't. It's not good stuff. So what you want to do is create a little slurry, put it in your beef stuff, in your beef inside the meat, on the meat in the crock pot, whatever, and it's gonna create a delicious sauce. And this way, you'll be able to enjoy the beef stew better than just the watery beef stew. All right, so I'm gonna put this in the fridge. Have a good night, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Good morning, guys. So this is it. I took the beef stew out of the fridge. It's now in the crock pot. It's going to cook at low for 8 to 10 hours. And see, the carrots and the onions are on the bottom there. So when I get home, I will cook the potatoes, mash those up. And so I discussed about making a slurry, not a flurry, yesterday. So it's a little bit of flour. So it's about a teaspoon of flour and about a quarter cup of water. And what you're going to do is you're going to place the slurry inside of where the meat is. And it's going to thicken everything you do. The next thing I'm gonna add is Swanson stock for beef. And I'm just gonna pour it in. I like to pour the whole container in. And now that's gonna cook all day long. All right, guys, so I'm gonna show you what the beef stew looks like. It smells out of this world. It smells really good. So let me check. All right, guys, I'm gonna serve the beef stew. Look at that, that looks delicious. I'm gonna plate this right now onto this plate here with some homemade mashed potatoes. That looks delicious. And that is it. So guys, check it out. That is the plate. Homemade mashed potatoes with beef stew, onions, and carrots. That is going to be devoured in about 2.5 seconds.